Mason
Hey
Carter, the
friend,
most
picture
disciplined.
this. It's pouring rain in Cleveland at 2 a.m., your headlights cut through the darkness, and right there on the sidewalk outside a dingy bar you see a guy you've worked beside for 3 years, slumped over, soaked, muttering to himself like the world just kicked him in the teeth. Your first instinct screams, drive past, it's not your problem. But something deeper whispers, what if this one stop saves everything? If you've ever felt that pull between staying safe and stepping up, if life has ever left you wondering whether anyone still cares, then lean in close, turn the lights down low, and stay with me until the very last word. Because this isn't just my story, it's a mirror for every quiet hero walking among us. This is the night I dropped my drunk coworker home, and his wife thanked me in a way I'll never forget. My name is Caleb. 32, divorced, stuck in the same warehouse job I took after college because the dream of becoming a teacher slowly drowned under bills and bad decisions. Mason and I had shared the same shift for 38 months, loading pallets, dodging forklifts, trading tired jokes about how the coffee tasted like regret. He was the guy who always remembered your birthday with a cheap candy bar and a slap on the back. Tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who looked unbreakable until you noticed the shadows under his eyes that no amount of overtime could erase. That Friday night the crew had gone out to blow off steam after the quarterly crunch. I stayed late finishing paperwork, then swung by the bar to grab my forgotten jacket. The rain was coming down sideways when I spotted him. Mason. Face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking, a half-empty bottle rolling at his feet. The bouncer was already eyeing him like tomorrow's trash. I could have kept driving. My ex-wife's voice echoed in my head, Caleb, you always try to fix people who don't want fixing. But something in the way his big frame folded in on itself cracked me open. I pulled over, killed the engine, and stepped into the downpour. Mason, hey man, it's Caleb. Come on, let's get you home. He looked up, eyes bloodshot and glassy. Caleb? You don't gotta. I'm fine. His words slurred like loose gravel. I could smell the whiskey from 3 feet away. He tried to stand, staggered, and I caught him before he face-planted. That single moment, his weight heavy against my shoulder, felt heavier than any pallet I'd ever lifted. He wasn't just drunk. He was drowning. The drive to his place on the east side took 20 minutes that stretched into eternity. Mason kept mumbling, half confessions, half curses. Lost the promotion again, boss said I'm unreliable. Rebecca's been working double shifts at the hospital. Ava asked me why daddy smells like the bar again. I promised her I'd stop. Tears mixed with rain on his cheeks. I kept my eyes on the road, but my chest tightened with every word. I'd always thought Mason had the perfect little family, pictures on his locker of a smiling wife and a gap-toothed 6-year-old. Turns out the pictures were the only thing holding them together. When we pulled up to the modest brick house, the porch light flickered like it was tired too. Mason fumbled for his keys, dropped them twice. I helped him inside. The living room hit me like a punch. Toys scattered everywhere, but the coffee table was covered in unpaid bills, empty pill bottles, and a half-finished bottle of cheap vodka. The air smelled of stale smoke and despair. Rebecca wasn't home yet, her shift ended at 3. Mason collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. I'm gonna lose them, Caleb. I already lost myself. That's when little Ava padded down the stairs in her dinosaur pajamas, rubbing sleep from her eyes. She couldn't have been more than 6, but the look on her face was ancient. She didn't cry. She just walked straight to her dad, climbed into his lap despite the smell, and whispered, Daddy, you came home. Mason broke right there, ugly, heaving sobs that shook his whole body. I stood frozen in the doorway, feeling like an intruder in someone else's nightmare. But Ava looked up at me with those huge brown eyes and said the words that lodged in my soul, thank you for bringing my daddy back. I couldn't leave. Not like that. While Mason passed out, I quietly straightened the living room, wiped down the table, hid the empty bottles in a trash bag I'd take with me. Every toy I picked up felt like a piece of their future I was trying to save. I found a stack of Rebecca's notes, shift schedules, grocery lists, and one crumpled page that read, "Mason, I'm scared but I still believe in you." My own divorce flashed behind my eyes, the fights, the silence, the way I'd walked away thinking I was protecting myself. Here was a man fighting not to walk away, and losing anyway. By the time headlights swept across the driveway, the house looked a little less broken. I stepped outside just as Rebecca climbed out of her old sedan, exhaustion carved into her face. She was maybe 28, but her eyes carried 40 years of worry. When she saw me, a stranger on her porch at 3 a.m, fear flashed across her features. "Who are you? Where's Mason?" I raised my hands. "I'm Caleb, his coworker. He needed a ride. He's inside, asleep on the couch. I didn't want to leave him alone." She searched my face for lies, then the tension in her shoulders melted into something raw and grateful. She pushed past me, saw the tidied room, saw her husband breathing steady for the first time in weeks, and her hand flew to her mouth. No words yet, just quiet tears sliding down her cheeks as she knelt beside him and brushed the hair from his forehead. Ava had fallen asleep curled against his side. The three of them looked like a photograph someone had almost torn in half. I turned to leave, but Rebecca stood up fast. "Wait. Please. You didn't have to do any of this." I shrugged, trying to play it cool even though my heart was hammering. "Anyone would've." She shook her head. "No. Not anyone. Not anymore." That was the moment chapter 1 ended, not with a bang, but with the soft click of a door I thought I'd never open again. 3 days later I was back at work, pretending the night hadn't happened. Mason showed up sober, eyes clear but haunted. He pulled me aside during lunch, voice thick. "Caleb. I don't know how to thank you. I was this close to losing everything. Rebecca told me what you did, cleaning up, staying until she got home. Man, I owe you my life." I waved it off, but he pressed a small envelope into my hand. "She wanted you to have this. Read it when you're alone." I waited until I was back in my truck after shift. Inside the envelope wasn't money, wasn't a gift card. It was a single sheet of construction paper covered in crayon drawings and a letter in Rebecca's neat handwriting. The drawing stopped me cold. Ava had drawn 4 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. Daddy was the tallest, wearing a cape she'd labeled "Hero." Mommy had a nurse hat. There was a new figure, me, standing beside them with a big smile and the words "Uncle Caleb" written in wobbly letters. Below the picture, Rebecca had written, "Caleb. You don't know us. Not really. Mason has been drowning for 2 years, after his dad died, after the medical bills piled up, after the panic attack started. I've been holding us together with duct tape and prayer. Every night I prayed for someone, anyone, to see him. Not the drunk guy outside the bar, but the man who still sings Ava to sleep when he thinks I'm not listening. You saw him. You brought him home. You gave my daughter one more night with her daddy whole. Tonight Ava asked if you could come for dinner on Friday. She wants to show you the tree fort Mason promised to build once he's better." I said yes. Because heroes deserve to meet the family they helped save. Thank you isn't enough. So I'm giving you the only thing I have left, my trust. And a seat at our table. Forever if you want it. Rebecca. I sat in my truck in the dark parking lot and cried like I hadn't since my divorce. Not pretty tears, ugly, shoulder-shaking ones that washed away years of thinking kindness was just something you saw in movies. That drawing, those words, they didn't just thank me. They invited me into something I'd forgotten existed, a family that chose to keep fighting. Friday came. I showed up with pizza and a toolbox. Mason met me at the door stone-cold sober, eyes bright for the first time in forever. Rebecca hugged me so tight I felt her heartbeat against mine, steady, strong, grateful. Ava launched herself into my arms like I'd always belonged there. We built that tree fort in the backyard until the sun went down, laughing when nails bent and boards slipped. Mason kept glancing at Rebecca with this look of pure wonder, like he was seeing her for the first time in years. She kept glancing at me the same way. Later, after Ava was tucked in, the three of us sat on the porch with coffee. Mason spoke first. I started counseling Monday. Rebecca found me a program that works around our shifts. It's gonna be hard, but I'm not doing it alone anymore. Rebecca reached over and squeezed my hand. And neither are we. You reminded us we're worth fighting for. I left that night carrying something heavier and lighter than I'd ever known, the knowledge that one rainy drive home had rewritten 3 futures. Mine included. Months later, Mason got the promotion he deserved. Rebecca cut back to 1 job so she could be home more. Ava's drawings now always had 4 people under the rainbow. And every Friday I still show up for dinner, sometimes with pizza, sometimes with just myself, and every time I walk through that door I remember the night I almost drove past. So here's the thing, friend. Life will throw you 100 reasons to keep driving. 100 voices saying, not your problem. But somewhere out there is a Mason stumbling in the rain, a Rebecca holding it together by a thread, an Ava who still believes in heroes. And somewhere inside you is the version of Caleb who stops. Stop. Reach out. Let yourself be the answer to someone else's prayer. Because the thank you you receive might not come in words. It might come in a crayon drawing that calls you uncle. It might come in a second chance that saves more than one life, it saves yours too. You never know whose future you're carrying in the passenger seat. So next time you see someone breaking, remember this story. Remember me. Remember that the smallest decision, to pull over, to stay, to care, can turn a broken night into the beginning of forever. And if you're the one breaking right now, know this, help is closer than you think. Sometimes it's just headlights in the rain. Thank you for staying until the end. Now go be someone's Caleb. You've got everything you need. I believe in you.